All right, where do some media outlets have the Colorado Avalanche goalie tandem ranked? Let's talk about that in a new episode of Locked on Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked on Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Locked on Avalanche. Even though it might not look like that if you're watching on YouTube, based on what Zach and I are wearing here, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. If you want to get in on the conversation, then join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Zach and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. Today, we will be getting to that draft that we couldn't get to on Friday, the draft by numbers thing that Greg Wyshewskin did over at ESPN. Every draft spot, the best draft pick in that draft spot in history, if that makes any sense. It's very difficult to explain that, but
Yeah,
I think that's how it. Yeah, how
it's a
you said
little
it, it's like the
difficult.
best number one ever, the best number two ever, the best number three. So we'll get to that. We'll continue with our player or our over unders in FanDuel. This is not all players. We're just going to do because right now Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon are on their list for point projections for goals and overall points. So we'll get to that. But where we're going to start is we should start with the Broncos. We won't though. Go watch Locked On Broncos. But hey, a win's a win, right? I mean, it was ugly, but they're 1-0 in the standings, and that's all that matters. That they're 1-0 and Kansas City's 0-1. So we're
Two
happy.
big things for that, is Kansas City's 0-1, and that Broncos defense is fantastic, and the Avalanche defense is fantastic. Denver might just be the city of defense.
Is it the defensive capital of the world? Very well could be. So so it's the start of the football season, so they're 1-0 and 2 thumbs up. It'll just get better as the year goes on, hopefully. While the football season is alive and well, NHL season's right around the corner. And last week was the NHL goalies week over in the NHL world. And it kind of we're overflowing that into Monday, obviously. And they put up their Super 16. The NHL Network does this a lot with the Super 16. They do their power rankings that way. The one thing I never understand is like with their Super 16 graphic, they only go up to like number 5 or something like that. And then the rest you have to go to the website to find. It's like that drives me crazy. Put them all up there on a graphic, but whatever. For their Super 16, for their goalie tandems, they do have Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood as a tandem. So if you're watching over on YouTube, I'm going to put that up over there for everybody. They have them at number 8 overall. And if you're wondering who's above them, well, you can't if you're looking at the graphic because they only go up to number 6 for whatever reason. But I'll let you know who it is. They do have Tampa Bay above them at 7. 6 is the Toronto Maple Leafs. 5 is the New Jersey Devils. 4 is the Washington Capitals. 3, the New York Rangers. 2, Dallas Stars. And number 1 is Winnipeg. Are you happy with this? Like, do you feel like this is a good spot for the Lumberyard, or should it be higher? Or is it, they haven't been a tandem for too long, so let's give them more time and we'll revisit this. And if they do what we expect them to do, they'll go up this list a little bit.
Yeah, I think based on their stats, even pre being traded to the Avalanche, I think 8 is a really good spot for both of these guys. There's a reason the Avs targeted them, went out and picked them up in trades during the season last year to pull them in. They're both very good goaltenders. I definitely don't think they are the number one tandem in the NHL. I think 8 out of 32 is a pretty good
Not
spot
bad.
to find yourself when you started the season with Eustace Annunen and I'm blanking on his name, but you went up Georgiev, yeah. You went up so much, like you got so much talent in that spot. The biggest thing that I find interesting is they also did their top 10 goalies list, and the tandem ranks 8, but neither one of them cracked the top 10 list. So I think together the Avs goaltending room is really good, and I think there could potentially be an argument for Blackwood to make it up a little bit higher, but I think that's where it needs to be him playing in front of this or behind this Avalanche team for longer than just a few months to get into
Yeah.
this list.
Yeah, I'll tackle the individual thing in a minute. But as far as like the tandems go, you can't be angry about having a top 10 tandem when, like you said, this time last year, that way, and we did a burning questions episode not that long ago. That was a burning question going into last season.
Yeah.
Was how is the goalie situation going to hold up? And by Christmas, we had two new goaltenders. So we got the answer to that. And if you had done, and I'm sure they did, I should have thought ahead and looked back to last year if they did goalie tandem rankings where they had the Avalanche, because it probably was ugly. Probably in the bottom half of the league. I can almost guarantee you that that's where they were.
Well, that's what I was going to say is since
Yeah.
they do the Super 16, the Avs wouldn't have been in the top 16. I
Nope.
can't see last year's tandem being up there. And to go from who knows where all the way up to 8 as a top 10 tandem, I think it's deserved. I think both of them play well enough to be in that spot, and I can't wait to see what they do this season.
Yeah, I think that's a fair and reasonable place to start. And I think as this season goes on, we're gonna see a lot of more. I would think if they play the way that we expect them to play, you're gonna see a lot more, eyes on this goalie tandem in Colorado. And it might even go further than that with, specifically Mackenzie Blackwood and maybe getting some eyes and notoriety for like the Olympic team, right? So I'm okay with 8. If I have any bone to pick, it would be they should be one spot higher. I don't feel like, because this is tandems. This is starter and backup. And I don't feel like Andrei Vasilevsky, while he is, in my opinion, the second best goalie in the league, or the 1A, 1B, if you want to say, Jonas Johansson does not hold up as a goalie tandem. And we can speak to that from firsthand experience, right? I don't feel like that is so heavily weighed on Vasilevsky for them being at number 7. And would almost be like sacrilegious to put them out of like the top 10 or even at number 10 because of how amazing Andrei Vasilevsky is. But I don't think he brings them up that much. And I think Johansson had an okay year for what he's done prior, but I would flip flop those two and at least give the Avalanche number 7. But I'm not going to get mad about it. I'm fine with it. Number 8 is you're again. I will go back to last year and never forget that feeling of like, man, like how is this season going to be with goalies? And we found out on game 1 that it was going to be a dogfight. And like I said, 2 months into the season, we had switched goalies. So I'm fine with 8. And I think as the season goes on, and if they keep up with this, I don't know if they do with the tandems. I think this is just because they had the goalie week last week. I don't think this is something to do all throughout the year, which would be cool if they would do it. I think you'll see these two guys kind of going up the board a little bit as the year goes on.
I agree. I do think 7 probably. Because 100% Connor Hellebuck, number 1 goaltender.
Yeah,
I think that's well deserved. That's earned. He belongs there. And Vasilevsky, number 2. And like you said, that should easily be a 1A, 1B situation.
Mm-hmm.
Either one of those guys could have a very good argument for the top spot, which is why I think I'm okay with Vasi being in the 7, even with Johansson behind him. I think I'm okay with that just because of how good Vasilevsky has been. But I think this season will show this is the opportunity to show the ability to take over that spot or even move up a couple more. We'll see how it goes, but
yeah,
I like the spot, and I think it's hard to argue with this top 10 goalies list right now too much as well. I'd probably drop Bennington down a couple of spots.
Yeah.
I think he's still, I don't know, he should still be top 10, maybe. I don't like him, but he is good when he's on. And so, this list is decent as well.
I don't know, man. Like, so they got Hellebuck, then Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Bobrovsky, Ottinger, Sorokin, Binnington, Gustafson, Kemper, and Ullmark, and that's your top 10 individual goalies. And this, I don't know. Like, I'm with you on Binnington. Is Binnington the 7th best goalie in the league? I don't think so.
No.
I think so at all. And like you said, it makes that 8 ranking all the more impressive when your number 1 guy is not even they don't even consider him like in the top 10 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have like someone like Sorokin, who's a fantastic goalie. He's number 6 on this list, but the Islanders aren't in the top 10 as far as tandem. Or are they even? They're 14.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I'm not getting too upset about this because I go back to, I think as this season goes on, and if Blackwood can give you what you're expecting next year when we talk about this stuff, he's on these lists. I think he's on these no brainer. So, but even having said that, where they are right now and where we came from, we're playing with house money here.
The only last thing I want to say is on that top 10 list, I think Otter's a little too low. I think Ottinger should maybe be one spot above in number 4 instead of at number 5. I think, well, and maybe
He's
I'd
over
actually put
Bobrovsky.
Shesterkin. I don't know. I might keep Bobrovsky if you're counting playoffs, because Bob was money through that playoff run.
Yep.
I'd probably drop Shesterkin to 5, Otter at 4, or Otter at 4 or 3, and Bobrovsky at 4 or 3. And that'd be where I'd have that one, which terrifies me coming up into the Central Division race, because Dallas has got a good tandem as well, especially with Otter.
They do. Very good. So we'll keep an eye on it. If they do update that throughout the year, which I hope they do, we'll keep bringing that stuff up. But we're going to go to first break in. When we come back, we'll do the over and unders over at FanDuel for points and goals when it comes to Makar and McKinnon. So we'll do that next. First, let's hear from FanDuel. The NFL season, if you couldn't tell, it's here. And FanDuel is making sure you are ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. And right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if that bet wins, you still get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You could use it for some of these point predictions that we're going to throw out to you here in a minute. So if you are ready, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com. and get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And if that bet wins, $300 is in bonus bets, goes into your account to use across the app. Go check out FanDuel right now. All right. So over on FanDuel, we were doing this last week with the Central Division, and they do have some player goals and player points up right now to bet on over unders for that. So I wanted to, they have a couple up here for Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon in both of those categories. So I want to throw them up, see what you thought, and kind of talk about it. So for Cale Makar, his over under for goals in the season is 24.5. And for Nathan McKinnon, it's 36.5. So just to refresh, Nathan McKinnon last year had 32 goals. The year prior, 51. The year prior to that, 42, and then 32 in 2021, 2022. So 36.5 is not a number he generally hits. He's like hit or miss. Last year, no. The year before that, definitely. The year before that, he did. Like I said, the year before that, he did not. So is it kind of a crapshoot if he's going to get 36 goals? He does a lot of damage in the assist department. So we'll start with Nathan McKinnon. What do you think? 36.5, over or under?
I'm going to go over only because I feel the Avs' depth is a little bit better, so teams aren't going to be able to zero in on him quite as much this year as they were able to last year. I don't think it's wildly improved, but I do think it's going to make it more difficult for teams to just go shut down Nathan McKinnon and shut down the Avalanche, which will then open up Nathan McKinnon and allow for some more goals. I'm thinking 40 is my gut. I think he gets to that spot right at the end of the season.
I think it's a very good point on how he could beat that number. Right. It kind of, it's weird because it doesn't really depend on Nathan MacKinnon. It depends on the surrounding team, right? If they can hold their own and live up to what their expectations are, it makes life easier for him because exactly what you said. Like they don't have to. They can just focus on Nathan MacKinnon and try to shut him down. It's still very difficult to do, but that number might be a little bit lower. I think it's a tough number. Oddly enough, Mikko Rantanen, if we're just going to throw Mikko Rantanen out there, same number.
Yep.
36.5 for him. And Mikko usually is right at that number or above. But is that because he's played with Nathan MacKinnon so much, who feeds him a lot of, who fed him, past tense now, a lot of pucks on the line they played together and the power play. So it's easy to look at Mikko's numbers and be like, yeah, he'll get that, but he doesn't have Nathan MacKinnon feeding the puck anymore. But the offense will run through Mikko Rantanen in Dallas, where it kind of ran through Nathan MacKinnon and still does in Colorado. So, man, it's a tough one. I think it's right at that. I think he. I don't know, man. Like I want to say yes, just because I love the guy and he's capable of unbelievable things. But just going off of, his history, it's hit or misses if he's going to get over that number. So I will say he does because he didn't last year. Seems to be doing like this. I do it for a couple of years and I don't do it for a couple of years. So I think he kicks it up a little bit in the high year for the goals. And sure, I'll give him 38 on the year. Why not?
Yeah. So. I mean, that seems fair. And like you said, it'll be really interesting to see kind of how everything operates with a new look Avalanche offense for sure.
Right.
Because Marty Necas could very well be scoring some of those goals. That could be where McKinnon's feeding the puck to and still picking up all those assists. Yep. I mean, their over-under for points for McKinnon was 113.5. So they have him at almost 80 assists on the year as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he is definitely a goal generator, even if he's not a goal scorer. But I do think he's going to get more than his fair share again this year.
We'll go with the overall points, and we'll switch over to Makar quick. But like you said, 113.5 for total points for Nathan MacKinnon. Last year, 116. The year before that, his MVP year is 140. And then in 22-23, he had 111. So I got to think he's going to go over that.
I'm taking the over on that all day long. That's a bonus bet from FanDuel right on that over every time.
And then what about Cale Makar for goals for Cale? They have 24.5 over under. Last year, he hit that 30 mark, his career high. And then overall, year prior, 21, 17, and 28. So what are we thinking? Over under for 24.5 for Cale?
I'm going to go over.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, that one seems like a no-brainer almost. I mean, I hate to put that out there because it's hard for defensemen to score. But Cale Makar is so talented.
He's another level, right? He is. And if this number was 30 is tough for a defense. 30 is tough for a lot of people. But for a defenseman, like you don't really see it a lot. So you would expect it to for most people to come down. But this is Cale Makar we're talking about. So could it even go up? Sure. I just feel like that's a low number to put that for the season to start at 24.5. If they had done like 27.5 or something like that, I think that would have made it a little bit tougher. But 24.5, like I will take that. I will take that over. Absolutely. Especially, him coming into like the age that he's going to be, where he's just hitting his stride and how good he actually is. Man, like I think, you could definitely see another 30 goal campaign for him for this year. And then for overall points for him, 86.5. That seems low too. So last year, 92, the year before that, 90. So it's 2 years in a row where he's at least 90. And, if we're thinking the goals could increase by a little bit, that would just make the points increase. At some point, he's hitting the century mark. I'm sorry. He's hit, and it could be this year.
I think it's this year.
Yeah.
It's a hard mark for a defenseman to hit. I looked that up earlier, and Eric Carlson was the last one to do it in 22-23. But before that, it was Brian Leach in 91-92.
Mm.
So it hadn't been
Didn't Yo?
done
I
since
thought
the year I was
Yossi didn't
born.
do it. That
No.
was the year you were born. Is that what you
Yeah.
said? So then Yossi, because the year Yossi, I thought won the Norris. Maybe he had 99 or something like that. He was close. He was really close. But
Yeah, let's see.
if it was Carlson,
Oh, wait,
then it
hold
was
on. I'm
Carlson.
looking at this now. I
Mm-hmm.
might have had it wrong. Players in the things. No, Yossi still didn't have it,
Wow.
it looks like.
So
So,
he was close though. He was close. Let me see. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of for those four. I think the only one that's iffy for me is the Nathan McKinnon goals, and he'll be right at that number. So,
yeah.
but all those other three in terms of goals for Cale and overall points for Cale and Nate, I'm going over. And
Yeah.
I just feel like those are kind of low numbers for those guys. So we'll
I
see.
agree. I feel like I'm going over on all of those. And
Yep.
I did have one piece that I wanted to throw out for this too, because I
Yep.
know Avs fans are, very nervous on. I've seen it online. A lot of people think Necas is going to do great. A lot of people are afraid he's not going to do well. I don't have a like actual goal line from FanDuel on him, but he's only a plus 260 for 30 goals this season and a plus 380 for 90 points, which puts him right in line with about what Miko's looking at for goals and points this year. And I think he's capable of it. And if he can put those numbers up, the Avs are like, if you don't lose too much
Yeah.
production by losing Miko Rantanen, you're going to be in
Right.
such a good spot. It's so hard to
That
defend
yeah,
against that.
because that is going to be watched
Oh, yeah.
all year long on where Natius is compared to where Miko is, and not saying that we're expecting Natius to beat Miko in the points department, but if there's not a chasm in between their two numbers,
Yeah.
that's what you gotta get that. You want that
Yep.
from the Avalanche and from Marty Natius. So I just looked it up quickly. Yossi had 96 points in
Did he?
21-22.
Okay.
I knew he was approaching it, and for
He was
enough time has
close. Yeah.
passed, I thought he got it, but no, he was close. He was close, but didn't get it. So, all right, last thing we're gonna do is look at this draft that Greg Wyshewskin did over at ESPN, and there's some Avalanche players on there, and could there be some Avalanche players in the future? So we will do that coming up next. All right, so fun little off-season article. It's the off-season, but this wasn't just something he conjured up and over the weekend was like, let's put this out on Monday. No, like this thing must have taken a while to do.
Had to.
And oh my god! And Greg Wyshewskin, like I said, he put up the best draft picks at that draft pick of all time. So just to give you an example, like he's saying the best number one pick of all time is Mario Lemieux. Right, the best number two pick of all time is Marcel Dion, and you go from there. Niederreyer's at 3, Yzerman's at 4, Yager's at 5. I'm not going to go through all 224 picks, so if you want to, feel free to Google it because it's a fun thing to kind of scroll and go through and look at. There are a few Avalanche players on here. At number 33 is Ryan O'Reilly.
Yep.
At number 146 is Brian Wilsey. And then at number 212 is Radim Verbata, who I forgot was he like I know who Verbata is, and I actually liked him. Like he was a entertaining and good, fun offensive player and a big guy. And I really don't remember him playing for. I think he was just drafted by them and then played. I don't even think it was a full season if I'm not mistaken. But at 212. He had a pretty good career, being that late of a draft. And I did want to throw out at 87, although it was drafted by Quebec, Milan Hajduk was on there as well. There was a good number of Nordique players on there too, but I didn't want to go through all of them. But I thought Hajduk had to throw his name out there. So is there anybody else on here, or do you want to comment on any of those guys, or anybody else that you think should be on here that was an Avs player that was not? I think we're thinking of the same one. But
yeah, I mean, there's the number one that I have, and the article itself even says this is where the argument is legitimate, was 15. And I can
Yeah.
understand where they came from on that, but Greg has Mike Bossy for the Islanders at number 15.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you not have Joe Sakic at number 15 when he was the
Yeah.
15 overall pick there? Really hard. I get where they're going from. And, the article even says he has to go down as one of the greatest goal scorers ever, says Wayne Gretzky, one of the, if not the greatest goal scorer ever. So you have that going for you, which is nice, but Joe Sakic is just a,
I know.
such a
And
talent.
Bossy was like amazing, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why like I would just put Sakic over it was just longevity.
Hmm.
That's the thing with Bossy is like his career was cut short, which is a shame
Yeah.
because then it'd be just like it'd be much more of a debate for me if he played your full career that superstars play.
Yep.
But the other ones that he throws in here in 15 are Al McGinnis, you got Sakic, and then Erik Karlsson. So I would think it's early to put Karlsson in there, and I think we're at the point of his career where I don't think he would be in this mix. But the other three, yeah, but I'm still going Sakic because just because of the games played, and that there's got to be something that you're kind of okay, like they're all great players, but where's something that one guy has that another one doesn't? And for me, that's Sakic and just games played.
Well,
So
and I've said it forever. Availability is a skill in professional sports. You
mm,
cannot be like I take that back. You absolutely can be a transcendental player who doesn't have a long career. Look at in the NFL, Terrell Davis, right?
right,
Absolutely phenomenal, more than deserving of the NHL Hall of Fame. Should have had a much longer career, much like Mike Bossy. Not to take away from guys like that, but when you add in guys who are that talented and have that long of a career, like that's just an additional skill. It's just another thing that they were able to do that I think puts them above other players. So
yeah,
I agree. Sakic really, I would put him over Bossy.
yeah,
Um,
and that's not a knock on Bossy, trust me, because
no.
he was amazing, amazing. Um, there are, let's see, at number 2, like I said, he has Marcel Dion on number 2. But he does throw out like, hey, these are other guys who were picked at number 2 who could be in the mix at some point. And he does throw Gabe Landeskog in there.
Yeah.
He puts Landeskog. He also puts Barkov, Jack Eichel. He throws Chris Pronger, Drew Doughty, Victor Hedman was number 2. He said in the end it came down to Malkin and Dion. So he went with Marcel Dion, and okay, not going to argue that, but I actually like the fact that he threw Gabe Landeskog in there. I don't know if I would say Gabe Landeskog will be the best ever number 2 pick ever, but hey, he's in this article, so
That's
congratulations.
that's the thing is I agree. I don't think he's necessarily the best number 2 overall of all time, but he absolutely has a seat at that table, right? He should be a part of that conversation because he has done so much right. In the article, when he says it's come down to Malkin versus Dion, I might put Malkin in that spot over Dion just with the hardware that Malkin
Malkin's
has
got,
accrued. But I mean, I could see going either way between those two. That's a tough two spot to choose between.
yeah, it is a tough one. And then I think we're all thinking, could Cale Makar eventually be here at number 4 and overtake Stevie Y? They got Steve Yzerman at 4, and he does mention him. It says
Yep.
10 years from now, will Yzerman concede this post to Cale Makar? It's a great question, and that would be a fantastic debate.
I if Cale continues on the trajectory, yes. I don't
Mm,
see Yzerman keeping that spot if Cale continues the career path he's on. And I don't see Cale not continuing the career path that
I
he's
know.
on. But when you've already put yourself in conversation with some of the absolute best players to ever hit the ice, and you are still like just now getting into the prime of your career,
Yeah,
Cale Makar has got a lot that he can still accomplish,
scary.
and I can absolutely see. I still can't believe. I remember how mad I was when the Avs lost the draft lottery all the way down to 4,
Yes.
the lowest they could possibly go that year.
Yeah.
And
Because
then,
that was the worst year they've ever had. And you're like,
yep,
oh, just like, kick us while we're down, give us our worst possible outcome in the draft. And
yep.
we got the best possible player. You see any redraft of that year, and it's Cale Makar #1. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Nope, not even
No
a
ifs.
question,
Yeah.
and never will be. And honestly, there's an argument that if Cale had gone #1 overall, he could be pushing himself up with the Lemieux pick at #1 on this list. But he
To
dropped
wrap
to
this
4.
up, I was going to ask you, how much of a stranglehold does Lemieux have on that? There's some good #1s. He throws out, obviously, Ovechkin, Crosby, and McDavid. Lemieux is an all-time player. It will take a ton for McDavid to unseat him. He's got to win multiple cups. Like, you're going to take the #1 from this thing. You got to do everything multiple times, not just one. And he's got the hardware as far as like MVPs and stuff like that, but you need minimum 2 cups to get this #1 spot. So could it be Crosby? Could it be Ovechkin? I mean, those guys are almost done. I don't know what else they could possibly do. Maybe add another cup to the resume, but is that enough to take over Lemieux? I don't know. Lemieux is just, he was, another level guy too. So
yeah, Mario Lemieux was just an absolute like
beast,
all-timer, right? Like, you're not gonna touch that whatsoever. And I know at first I was like, McKinnon doesn't even get mentioned there. I can kind of understand why. I think that's going to come down to championships as well. If the Avs can pull off a couple more championships, then he gets his name inserted into that list as well. Because McKinnon, I think I would still take him over McDavid. Like, drafting a team from scratch today, I would take Mac over McDavid. But McDavid is such a freaking talent, man. It'd be so hard to not put him above that. So, yep.
Stuff. But the Mario Lemieux stat, or that is just still bonkers to me, is the 5 goals in 5 different ways that he scored. Even strength, power play, shorthanded, penalty shot, empty net goal.
Yep.
5 goals all in the same game, 5 different goals. That, to me, it will just never happen again. And if anybody does that, if any of those #1 guys do that, you got to do it again. You got to do it twice, and you'll never even do it once. So amazing stuff. So, all right, that is going to wrap it up for today, everybody. So anything we mentioned on today's episode, whether it be the tandems, the over-unders, or the draft that we just discussed, throw it out in the comments section and fire away. We want to know what everybody has to say out there. So that's going to wrap it up for today. So we'll be back. We will be back tomorrow. We're back to 5 days a week. So we'll be back tomorrow with anything else going on in Avalanche world. We'll be talking about that then. So make sure you tune into that. But for this one, thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. For Mr. Zach Pearson, I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, where you have made it through another 24 hours. Where Sidney Crosby, maybe the best #1 draft pick of all time, is that much closer to being with the Colorado Avalanche.